Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2021 movie The Kissing Booth 3. It's time to recall, let's get started, turn on subtitles, and spoilers ahead. After finishing high school, Elle Evans embarks on a week-long road trip with Noah Flynn, Lee Flynn, and Rachel. Elle may now lastly make a decision on her future. Unfortunately, Elle was admitted to both Harvard and Berkeley. While Lee and Noah were accepted to Berkeley and Harvard respectively, she had to tell them she was waitlisted in order to spare their feelings. They go on wonderful excursions like camping, fishing, stargazing, visiting aquariums, and watching the sunset. Elle chooses to give it some more thought even though Lee and Elle have a condition that they must always attend the same school as their best friend. They depart for San Francisco and go on incredible experiences together. Eventually, the road trip comes to an end and Elle decided to work as a waitress to raise money for college even though she isn't sure which one she will go to. A few days later, Noah and Elle are at the Flynn's vacation home when Noah makes a startling Harvard-related comment. If Elle is removed from the waiting list, he offered that they move off campus and acquire an apartment together. He responds that he genuinely wants to live with her and accomplish everything in life with her when Elle asks whether he really wanted to live with her. After some time, Lee decides to jump off a balcony, dousing Noah and Elle in water. Rachel then appears and offers them some drinks. Elle receives calls from Harvard but does not answer them. Elle is still ignoring both schools in order to gain some time. When Noah asks if she is upset by anything, she replies nothing and whispers into his ear. Noah and Elle depart, and Lee and Rachel discuss their college plans. Lee explains how he structured their schedules so that they could spend time together despite attending different institutions. They eat lunch with Mr. and Mrs. later in the day. Elle compliments them on their summer home and expresses her gratitude for having them visit Flynn. They are informed by Mr. and Mrs. Flynn that they wanted to celebrate their graduation by taking them someplace special. They inquire about the children's summer plans. Lee suggests that they visit their beach house, but they regretfully inform him that they're going to sell it. Since the kids will be in college by then, no one will be stopping by. Mrs. Flynn also informs them that the entire area is being renovated and that maintaining the beach house is expensive. Lee, Noah, and Elle all vote against selling the beach home, but Mr. Flynn tells them that the decision has already been made and that they are unable to change it at this time, even if they want not to. Upon hearing the news, everyone becomes sad. Elle receives a call from Berkeley's administration at this time. Elle requests another little delay, but they give her till the next day to make up her mind. They want to know whether she wants to join. Elle must now choose between going to Harvard with Noah and Berkeley with Lee. She will have to make a difficult choice between two of her favorite people. In the next scene, Elle's family is playing Uno, and her brother Brad wins and celebrates by dancing. Elle claims that as a result of her job, she now gets to spend very little time with her family. Her father tells her that he is going out on a date with Linda. Elle does not seem thrilled about it and ignores the whole thing. The following day, Elle, Lee, Noah, and Rachel travel to the beach home to assist the Flynns in selling the property. They take a minute to reflect on the beach house's significance to them and the many wild experiences they had there. While Rachel and Lee are in a room at this time, Rachel unintentionally takes the doorknob off. Lee recalls how Elle and Lee used to imagine it was a diamond when they were younger. The doorknob is then placed on Rachel's finger by Lee, who has taken her hand. They pause for a second before joining Elle and Noah in looking at a picture of themselves as youngsters. Mr. and Mrs. Flynn are also heartbroken since they have many memories associated with the property. On the balcony, everyone gathers to talk with Mr. and Mrs. Flynn about how long it'll take to sell the property. Elle and Lee have the plan to convince them that the house can be legally sold in as little as 2 to 3 months. Since cleaning, maintenance, and putting together the beach home would be a major headache for them, they ask Mr. and Mrs. Flynn if they may stay there instead. Additionally, the parents would find it difficult to go back and forth to meet potential buyers of the property. On the condition that the youngsters maintain the beach house and keep it clean, the Flynn's parents agree to let them stay. Elle gets a reminder about Berkeley and whether or not she should apply. She calls to inform them that she has turned down the opportunity. She then tells Noah that she is heading to Harvard. Noah becomes happy. He hugs and picks up Elle. Lee realized what had happened right away. Lee rushes to their playroom to put away all the toys. Elle follows him, and they argue about how attending 2 different schools would damage their friendship. She promises him that they will talk on the phone every day and meet up on holidays, but Lee tells her that he will be unable to meet up on holidays since he would be meeting with Rachel. She promises Lee that they will be friends no matter where they are. Then Elle has an idea that may make their summer the nicest summer they've ever had. They're going to finish their bucket list. Elle returns home and tells her father about spending the entire summer at the beach house. She assures him that she will keep up with her chores despite staying at the beach house. After telling her a few things that she needs to do, Elle's father agrees. Elle, Lee, Rachel, and Noah move into the beach home. Lee takes the for sale board from the front porch and Noah puts it back. Every time Lee takes the sign, Noah puts it back. This results in Noah filling cement under the sign so that Lee is not able to remove the sign. While the four are having dinner, Noah reveals that he has invited a few guests to the beach house to enjoy the final and finest summer. Many pals, including the OMG girls, Tuppen and Ashton, participate. Lee meets with Ashton, who has recently ended his first year at Berkeley, and Lee and Ashton get along well, which worries Elle. She gets jealous, noticing that Lee will have another friend with him at college, and that friend will not be Elle. They have a great time and party all night. The next day, Elle uses an air horn to wake Lee up. Elle shows Lee the bucket list she developed on her computer and immediately begins performing the items on the list. They have fun and cover most of their list. They go skydiving, have a brain freezing competition, go underwater in a cage, and even turn Noah into an ice cream sundae. Elle has gone to work and Lee has joined her. Her manager, May, asks Elle if she can work extra shifts, something she doesn't want to do but agrees to. Lee starts helping her with her work. Elle walks over to a table and discovers Marco and his family. She asks them what they were doing here and Marco says they were hungry and decided to come here and eat. After that, Marco comes to Elle and apologizes for acting weird before. Elle asks him if he was staying at the beach this summer, and he tells her that he had a job as a lifeguard at the beach. Back at the beach house, Chloe phones Noah and mentions that her family will be in LA, and Noah offers her to stay. Elle and Noah go for a nighttime walk on the beach, and Noah tells Elle that Chloe will be nearby and invites her to stay at the beach home. Elle doesn't seem to mind and invites him to the water park that Marco had previously invited Elle to. Noah is unhappy and decides to leave. The next day, Lee and Elle try to get Noah to dress up for their race day. Noah denies joining them and Lee walks away, upset. Ashton and Lee spend a lot more time together than Elle imagined. Marco drops by Elle's workplace and informs her that everything is set for Elle and Lee's event. Noah and Chloe spend some time together on her family's boat. They converse for a bit, and then Chloe's parents dispute in the background. Elle eventually finishes her work and receives a phone call from her father saying that Brad's babysitter had canceled and she needed to care for him. Elle got a little inventive after promising Noah and Chloe that she would hang out with them. She invites Brad to join her at the beach house and he accepts. Elle asks if he wants to eat anything, but Linda has already prepared something for him. Linda collides with Elle, causing her garments to get soaked. Elle is upset that Linda is around and dating her father, so she departs quickly. Back at the beach house, Elle and Chloe play some video games. Chloe suggests she go pro because she is really excellent at video games, but Elle denies it. Later, Lee, Ashton, and Rachel return home, and Lee tells them that they went to a comic book convention and played 80s mini golf. Elle and her friends head to the water park the next day and partake in a Mario Kart race. Several players leave, leaving Noah and Marco in the lead. Noah is displeased at Marco's victory. Noah and Elle had a disagreement regarding Marco. Later that day, Noah and Chloe discuss Marco while playing pool. Chloe receives word from her parents that they are divorcing. She tells Noah and tries not to make a big deal of it. Elle and Lee visit their favorite arcade and discover a message on the DDR machine stating that they would be getting rid of it. Back at the restaurant, Lee and Elle are discussing how the DDR machine soon is gone, so Lee added the last DDR dance to the bucket list. Elle is frustrated and overwhelmed as a result of the bucket list, Harvard, and their connection. Elle goes to the beach house and finds Noah, who arranged dinner for her to make amends for their previous dispute. Elle informs him that she is going with Lee for the bucket list, but Noah is not pleased, and she walks away in tears. Later, Elle, Lee, and their pals stage a flash mob in a restaurant. She gets a reminder and leaves the restaurant to go to the beach house. Noah is painting the doorway frame the next morning when Lee comes in and tells him he shouldn't. Noah eventually goes away. Elle, on the other hand, was supposed to pick up Brad from soccer but couldn't find him. Elle is concerned and returns home to see Brad. Brad is alright and Linda picked him up, according to Elle. Elle is both disappointed and outraged about it. Elle is quite frustrated at work. Chloe and Noah are on the beach discussing Elle. Chloe is irritated that Noah is abandoning her the same way her parents abandoned their marriage. Elle and Marco then have a brief conversation regarding her career at Harvard and her relationships with Noah and Lee. Someone walks in as Elle is ready to finish her work. She then recognizes Noah. They dance and eventually reconcile. Then Marco appears and sees via the window that Elle and Noah have reconciled. Marco gets dissatisfied and walks away. Noah discovers Elle's application letter from Berkeley the next day. Elle contacts Marco to apologize for the previous night. She explains what occurred, and Marco understands but is still disappointed. At the 4th of July beach party, Noah tells Chloe about the letter. Noah is not pleased when Marco appears. Elle and her pals are playing volleyball when Marco punches Noah in the face because he believes he is still interested in Elle. Noah gives Marco a filthy look and walks away. Elle is now quite irritated with Marco and pushes him away from her. Marco admits his affection for Elle, but she rejects him. Elle's family, Rachel, Lee, and Lee's parents play Monopoly that night, but Elle is still furious. Linda chooses the puppy piece, but Elle accepts it nonetheless. Linda, she explains, cannot replace her mother and walk into her life like Wei. Her father is enraged by Elle and storms out the door. Elle discovers Noah's whereabouts and joins him near the Hollywood sign. They discuss, and Noah decides that splitting up is a smart idea. Elle flees, heartbroken, and she finds she's too late to perform the last dance on the DDR machine. She runs into Lee, and they argue. The next day, Chloe and Elle discuss Noah and Elle's relationship while Rachel listens in. Rachel thinks about her relationship with Lee. Elle and Mrs. Flynn discuss Elle's future plans and options. Rachel and Lee discuss their relationship, and Rachel believes they should end it due to the distance. They end up crying and hugging one another. Elle apologizes to her father and Linda at her house, explaining to Linda that her mother used to always pick the dog piece. Linda understands and they make amends. Then she realizes what she is truly enthusiastic about. Everyone says their final goodbyes to one another. Elle tells Lee how she got into Berkeley, but she didn't want to hurt their feelings, so she did what was best for her. Elle walks around the beach house one last time, recalling all of her memories. Elle and Lee have their final conversation, and Lee departs with the diamond doorknob. Mrs. Flynn is about to seal the contract when she reconsiders and decides not to sell the beach house. Elle and Lee are still in touch 6 years later in Los Angeles, and Lee and Rachel have reconnected, become engaged, and are planning their wedding. Elle obtained a job at a tiny video game company and is doing well, and Noah, who enters an incredibly formal suite, has transformed himself into a furnished lawyer. He is evaluating career opportunities with law firms in New York and Los Angeles. They shortly discover that people continue to use the kissing booth built at the carnival and are grateful that students are carrying on the tradition they started out of nowhere. However, the booth will always be significant to Elle because everything happened because, well, you know. Elle and Noah reconcile and maintain contact. In the final picture, they ride their motorcycles into the sun together. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.